Good, good. We're good. We're good. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to those at home. The August 15th, 2018 meeting of the Board of Selectmen. We'd love to say that this was our second meeting of the summer, but this is more like our 10th meeting or 11th meeting of the summer. So we hope you're all enjoying your summer, and we have an action-packed agenda, so we're going to get right to it. We've got a guest with us this evening. We have Steve Anderson, who's the town's outside counsel from Anderson and Krieger, who's going to give us an update on the rail trail and the process thus far.
Thank you very much, and I hope you can all hear me here and on TV with this little sound system we have going. That folks from IT will let me know if it's too loud or not loud enough. So I went and bring you tonight several documents, and I'm going to walk through them. First, let me explain what you have. There's a tab set of documents with a cover set of motions and 3 documents attached. The motions don't necessarily happen tonight. They could happen at your next meeting after you've had time to look over all documents, get your questions answered, and so on. But I wanted you to see the direction in which we're moving. Tab 1 is the clean version of the current form of the lease as negotiated with the MBTA's council. Tab 2 is a draft access license that would allow Beals and Thomas onto the property to design the rail trail subject to the terms and conditions of the access agreement. And tab 3 is the latest draft of the MOU, and I'll get to 2 changes that have been proposed by friends all later in the discussion. Behind the tab set of documents is a document that's in color. It's a red line, and it includes every change to the lease compared to the version that was in front of town meeting back when we voted in 2017 to approve in concept the lease and instruct the town, the Board of Selectmen, to try to negotiate an even better lease and bring it back to a vote of the board for its final approval. So this is the cumulative red line that shows the changes then to now. And finally, there is a single page which contains some red lines, and these are the 2 changes to the MOU the friends have asked for. I think the first one is moot because there's a better number now than they had at the time they suggested these. And the second one is one that I'll talk about when we get there in the course of the discussion. Okay? So, first, the lease is taking a while to get here, but we've been working with a very cooperative council at the MBTA. We've worked very well together, and we've gotten through every issue that she or I have seen with the document. It's probably to some typos, etc. We were catching some as late as today. You probably see some others in here. It's what happens to lawyers are typing rather than the admin doing what the admin does best. Okay? But we're doing our best to put in front of you a lease that the 2 lawyers recommend as the form. It's not perfect from either side. They would certainly not want some of the changes that are in here that we successfully negotiated for. We would probably want more that they didn't give us, but this is a compromise that is now in front of you. As to its form, is something that we think accomplishes the mission that county town meeting instructed us to try to do. Here's the lease, do better if you can. We think we've done better with this round of changes. When you approve the form of the lease, there are 2 different options in terms of potentially signing the lease. The option that has been the preferred option that we've been advocating for from the town's standpoint is essentially etc. Have the Friends raise all the money, donate to the town. We know what it's going to cost to be able to bid. We have approved design plans, and now when the whole package is done, ready to sign, seal, deliver the lease, and move forward on the construction of the project. The T's Council understands that that's our preferred course, but points out that there is a potential downside for all parties. At the moment, we have the T's attention. Their council has worked through it. Their peer review council has worked through it. All their departments have worked through it, and it's teed up, if and when you approve it, as to form to go to the general manager and get it signed. If you wait, you lose that momentum, and potentially you have to recreate that wheel months down the road when design is done, plan is approved, etc., etc. So the alternative is both sides sign a document now or in September in a next meeting, but we do an escrow agreement and we hold the lease in escrow. And when and if the design is done, the plans are approved, the cost come in, the Friends raise all the money and donate it. In other words, when all the conditions are satisfied, the lease is dated, that becomes its effective date, and it's released from escrow. If it founders on any one of these shoals along the way, and it blows up, conditions aren't satisfied, and it never becomes effective. I personally think either option is acceptable, assuming we can arrive at a suitable escrow agreement with MBTA's council. It could be signed as cash now, held in escrow and released later when the conditions are satisfied. So I just wanted to note that's something we were talking about as late as today in terms of options. And I think she prefers the second option because doesn't want to see us attain all this progress only to find we backslide because it doesn't get signed out and we have a different council later, or a different department head later, or a different GM later. Okay? So that is an open question that the board needs to be guidance on. If you want door number 2, I'll simply draft it up escrow agreement between now and the next meeting, work it through with these council, and hopefully come actually with a recommended form escrow agreement, pursuant to which you can sign the lease. I'd like to pause document by document and see if you have questions on this, Mr. Chairman.
Wait, so before we get to the first part of the lease, Steve, with regards to segmentation of the process, the preferred way is, and I agree, maintain to capture the momentum, maintaining the momentum that we have, putting dollar amounts into escrow. Do we have to agree on the dollar amounts by September?
Not with the T, but yes, with the Friends.
Friends.
I think we are there with the Friends, and when we get to the MOU, I'll explain that. There's only one amount that gets put into escrow now, and that's the design estimate Beals has given us. They have refined it from its previous amount and refined it essentially downward. So it's now less than the amount we were talking about at the time of the meeting. And the reason for that is that certain costs have moved into the next phase of the project. For example, the environmental insurance testing, if it's allowed for environmental matters, they continue to that goes along with those, plus the sharpening of the pencil by Beals and lowering some of the estimated costs. So the amount that is here is less than the amount that's in the Friends draft, and so I don't think it's going to be an issue in terms of them raising that amount. There should be no sticker shock on that amount. Okay? The environmental insurance, moving that into the next phase, postpones those costs, and it's done for two reasons. One is, in order to get out from under the environmental indemnity in the lease, we need to have environmental insurance that meets certain terms and conditions. One of those terms is a 5-year policy, starting on the effective date of the lease. So the policy would be purchased at the time of the effective date of the lease, and it would be put into effect at that time. The access license has what I would call a lesser included environmental indemnity compared to what's in the lease. You're not buying environmental insurance now, so you're not going to get out from under any indemnity that's in the access license. And so you'll see when I walk through that with you, that I have redlined their draft to try to narrow down the environmental indemnity that's in there, essentially to indemnify for anything that the town spills or its construct spills over onto the property. If they cause a lease, they have to clean it up. They're not going to bring anything on the site that is hazardous materials. Obviously, to the extent they have a four-wheeler and there's a gas tank, they have to make sure before they go on that it's intact, it's not refueled on the property, and when they come off, it's in the same shape. And if it's not, you need to find out where they need to take care of that. So I'm trying to narrow that down. The access license changes have not gone to the T yet. She's waiting for them. I got the SOW, the scope of work from Beals, that's now attached. So that my changes to the license and the scope of work from Beals goes over to them. I have 2 weeks plus to work it up through with her. Come back to you with a final, hopefully, access agreement at the door of the select meeting. If we don't get their agreement to essentially a more town-friendly endorsement of the environmental indemnity and the access license, we need to talk about what that means and whether environmental insurance can help us with that. Maybe we can get a 6-year policy and start it from the date of the access license, but the Friends would have to raise money for the extra environmental insurance, and would have to be built into the MOU. Over and above that, I don't know whether we can in fact get a 6-year policy. They usually sell 5-year, 10-year increments, and you have to prepay the entire term of the policy. So I'm trying to avoid something more than a 5-year policy, which works for the lease, for the terms we've already talked about over the years that we've been working on this. And I'm trying to fix the access license so it's reasonable that we're only on the hook for that which would cause, if anything, in terms of environmental problem.
Stephen, can I, just while we're on the topic of the license, the date, the access permits, the insurance, to just connect a couple of the dots, do we have to have the money, the escrow money, do the Friends have to have escrow money before a specific date prior to the June 30th lease of 2019?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first bucket of money is the design money, and that's currently roughly
268,000.
It's lower than that. It's
252.
252.
Yeah, it's I'll get to that in the license, but it's been reduced from that number. But that money needs to be in the bank before we sign the design contract, before we sign the access license, essentially at the same time that we sign the MOU with Friends. It would be great if they can, in real time, sign the MOU, give us a check for the 250 or whatever the actual number is, and we get bills to start designing this thing. And the reason for that is we are in the current fiscal year of the T, the same as the towns, July to June fiscal year, and so this approved project with the lease and the anticipated investment phase, etc., has to kind of get up and moving this fiscal year. If it doesn't, it's bound to another fiscal year, and we start over, okay? So I'm trying to avoid the start over.
Realistically, the MOU and the 250,000 from the Friends, we want to do that portion within, say, 30 to how many days?
I would say you need that money in the bank by September.
September.
As early in September as we can, because Beals has given us a 6 to 9 month time frame to go through this design process under the license, and in order to squeeze that into the fiscal year, it needs to start in September.
Okay. Okay. I'm just.
The money needs to be in the bank. Now, continuing the answer to your question, before the lease is effective, whether it's signed later, and therefore effective later, or signed now, escrowed and dated effective later, before it becomes effective, and the door number 2, you need to go through the public bidding process. Once you have the design plans that are approved by the T, you put them out to bid. And in order to put them out to bid, they need to put in the bank the design estimate based on the actual design plans and actual RFP, the design and bid that's going to go out to bid. In order to go out bid to bid, to get contractors to bid on this job, you need to assure them the money is in the bank. Ordinarily, by statute, the treasurer signs on behalf of the town and says the money has been appropriated by town meeting. It's in the bank, it's ready to go. That's not the case here. You don't have that.
No.
What you need is real money in a real bank account under the real control of the town, so that a certificate can be signed that says the money is in the bank to fund this project in accordance with the design estimate. And that money needs to come in before it goes out to bid. And the contractors bid on the job. You open the bids, and the lowest eligible and responsible bid is the one by statute you would accept. That could come in higher or lower than the estimate. If it's lower than the estimate, you already have the money in the bank, you're good. If it's higher than the estimate, you have a contingency in the design estimate that the design information gives you, and I believe it's 20%, but I have to go back and check it, but they're going to have a contingency in that estimate. If it comes in within the contingency, you still have enough money to start the job, but you need to make sure you have enough money that it doesn't grind to a halt. Because change orders come in real time, you've got to adjust them and keep the job going, okay? So, you're going to have all that money in the door, design, engineer, estimate, trued up based on the actual bids that come in the door. And the MOU addresses that. The proposed change they've given you addresses the proposed change to that. And I'll talk about that. And that's the one pager I have in front of you there. At any rate, all that money needs to come in the door, again, before the the lease is effective. Okay? Once it's effective, once you know you've got plans that are approved by the team, you've gone out to bid, you know you've got a bid that is approved that fits with the statutory criteria, and you've got money that meets or exceeds that in the bank, you're ready to go. And you've done your due diligence, all the questions and the answers that you had along the way during the design process, etc. And at that point, you say, okay, we agree that the conditions are satisfied. We agree this, or we agree to sign the document, which you choose. So in answer to your question, essentially accordingly now, 250, whatever the actual number is, plus the actual construction dollars later and before the lease becomes effective. Okay?
Understood.
I think Robin had a question.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. So I think just for the audience, it's probably important just to remind people, because it's been a while, that the way we set this up was to stage it. So the first part of the project, where we need the $250,000+ is to continue to do some more extensive due diligence to make sure that to get accurate design plans, and I think it's to make sure that we don't have any issues with the title. So that's the first part of the project. So within that part of the project, there's still some risk that potentially we may not want to move forward, and that's what we have the license agreement for. And then, by having the bid package, it's going to refine the costs, which we talked about doing in some of our MOU meetings. One of the questions I had, which I just want to make sure that in no way escrowing this lease agreement with signatures, in no way we run afoul of what town meeting mandated. And town meeting mandated that we should not sign the lease, or we represented at town meeting that we would not sign the lease until all the funds were in the bank to work to begin construction and complete the rail trail. I'm assuming, because if the escrow agreement is going to specifically state that if funds aren't raised, the lease is not deemed to be executed. I just want to make sure that in no shape or form we're running afoul of representations that were made at town meeting.
So in answer to that question, the literal representation, we will not assign the lease until all the money is in the bank.
Right.
Literally, don't sign the lease. That's door number one.
Robin just wants to go through this all a second time.
However, what I would call the functional equivalent of that would be an escrow agreement that essentially says a variety of conditions, but the main condition being that if sufficient funds are not in the bank on or before X date, or on or before something happens, within 60 days of the opening of the bids, or whatever the magic is that we put into the escrow agreement, that the lease is null and void. Okay?
Right.
It's a nullity.
So
It's as if it had never happened.
Right.
Okay? So it is a legal fiction, because the signatures are on the document, but at the same time, these kinds of arrangements are done every day.
Right.
When you need to do a very complicated set of documents, and certain steps have to happen in some kind of order, and you want to make sure that one thing happens before another, but you don't want to have the deal, crash because people change and something doesn't get signed that everybody thought was going to be signed. So I'm presenting two options. Option one is literally exactly what you told town meeting. Option two, if it is done in the way I'm describing and the team agrees to it,
So that's all I wanted to make sure that you as town council, because we represented that we would consult with town council with respect to, ensuring that the lease that was presented to the town at the meeting was not substantially changed in meaning in any way, and I think we're comfortable with that. And that also, we would, and I think the escrow agreement is an extremely creative way for us to continue to move the process forward without putting the town at any additional risk. And that's what I wanted to.
I'm not saying you have to agree to the escrow.
But I think it's creative.
There are now two options, one of which the team prefers just because they've come this far. And council is suggesting that it's taken a while to get here, let's get it over the finish line and put it in escrow rather than waiting and potentially backsliding.
And I can see where they came by and they're making that suggestion. It has been a long road.
Okay, so if there are no other questions on the lease, I would like to turn to the license. That's the next document in the package. On tab 2. And you'll see tab 2 has A and B. A is just the same lease premises exhibit that's going to be attached to the lease. And I would point out that the optional lease premises have been deleted from the lease in accordance with the preference of town meeting. That's one of the improvements that has happened during the negotiations. And you can see where the premises start and where they end. The license will essentially cover the same start and end point. Tab B is the proposed scope of work that has been drafted by Beals, reviews by the professionals in town, the team that's working on the project for the town. And the T has not yet seen it, so they might have some heartburn with various provisions here, but it is what it is. And this is what Beals thinks it needs to do in order to design all the rail trail. And then on top of that, you have the draft of the access license. The black and white is their version that came to me. The red line is what I did today. Footnote, arriving back 2 in the morning last night, jet lag from vacation, and footnote. So it's not perfect, and I'm going to improve it a little before I send it back to the T. One provision that T's council has suggested, and I think it improves things, is to incorporate into the license design approval provisions that are similar to the lease, so that when we go through the license, get the plans, they can actually approve them under the license before the lease is in effect, so we can then go to bid, et cetera, et cetera. So she's working with us, and that was her suggestion, and I need to build it in as if there was a time in the day to do it right. So I haven't done it yet, but I will do it before I send it back over to her. Okay? Otherwise, the changes are first pass that I think the changes should be as written in an access license. And you'll see, for example, some red lines on the environmental provision. You'll also see some yellow highlighting because we need to run the insurance provisions by Maya. They are similar to, but not exactly the same as a lease. So we need to make sure that Maya is going to be okay with them. We're also going to have to run them by Beals, because we have to get insurance both from the town and from Beals. And for example, highlighted, for example, comprehensive public liability insurance. But that's something the team might have as a public entity, but Beals can buy as a private entity, they can buy general liability. CGL policy. So I just need to work that through with Beals, my team, council, make sure that everybody's happy that they're getting what they think they need and what can be provided. Similarly, T as a standard matter asked for waiver of supplication so that essentially our policy can't go after their policy. And it's really open to ask for it. I'm not sure why I would give it. So we have to ask. Okay. So I've highlighted stuff in yellow that I can't agree to. Also, the width of the trail, they put in a 12-foot wide trail. I don't know if that's going to be the dimensions or not. That's up to Beal, that's up to them, right? So I had it in yellow just because, I don't know, and I didn't want to forget about it, okay? So there's a little work that needs to be done on the access license. If you see anything in the next day or two that jumps up at it, and you anything from typos to things you want me to address, just shoot me an email. Do not send it to the other board members. As a 3-member board, that's the communication between the board. Don't do that. Direct to me, copy check Dave, we'll work it out, and we'll move forward from there. Okay? If you want to change everything in the access license, I have to tell you, this starting point is much more reasonable than what I've seen in other starting points from other deals I've seen the team do. This is a very reasonable starting point. It's not perfect, but it's good. So don't say scrap it, go back to the beginning, please. That's not going to get us there. Okay? We're working with a cooperative council who's trying to work through real world problems with real world solutions. Okay? The third document is the MOU. So, where this study just the history, there was a draft MOU that was circulated to the Friends before the 2017 town meeting. And we didn't get back the comments and revisions before the town meeting. So it was essentially our suggestion as to what an MOU would look like. Fast forward in time, we did get back some comments from them, some of which were quite reasonable, some of which we thought would create issues for a town body to agree to. And we had another meeting with the Friends. It was very cooperative. We worked together to try to find solutions to it. I took the pen and said I would get back to them with a red line. So I accepted everything in the documents and then redlined what I thought needed to change to make it more acceptable to the town as a governmental entity. And in terms of how you do business and so on and so forth, I sent that back to them before I left for vacation in July. And they met over it, they looked at it, they didn't get me any red lines back. I was back here for 3 days between chapter 1 and chapter 2 vacation. I said I really need it. I didn't get it before I left chapter 2. Today, I saw the 2 changes that they were interested in seeing. You have them in a single piece of paper. One of those changes, as I say, I think is already in the MOU. When you look at the cost table in the MOU, on page 6 of tab B, tab 2 in your package, it is $240,600, which matches up to the current Beals estimate. Okay, and that's down from $268,800, which is down from $350,000 of prior draft of the MOU. So we've been working with Beals and the Friends to try to get the number where they wanted it to be, and we're lower than where they wanted it to be. That's why I think that issue should be behind us. And the only other issue they raised on the document, sent back to them. But before I went on vacation, is the second row on the table, it's redlined on this single piece of paper, okay? And it contains a proposal that at the bidding phase, before the tenant issues the request for bids for construction, that we would issue that when we had in the bank a certain money. I said in my draft the design engineer's estimated cost, because that's what is required for public construction cost. It needs to be in the bank when you're asked that this job, okay? Dave's going to tell you, your commissioners are going to tell you, you cannot go out to bid without being able to assure the bidders you've got that money ready to go, okay? So my language in the document matches up to the design engineer's estimated cost based on the design. And those are sort of magic words that the design engineer understands. This is the design, it's been approved by the T, it needs to go out to bid. You need to be able to represent that you have the money necessary to do it. Here's my estimate of that number, okay? So I would very much like to stick with the language I gave you. But in fairness to the friends, maybe you would tell you they've asked for something different. This is the one that you change the left here, and it's the blue wording that you see here. And it sort of leaves to the discretion of the committee, the rail trail advisory committee, to sort of fine tune the number before that's the number they have to put in the bank. If you're going to leave anything blue in here, it shouldn't be the committee, it should be this board, okay? Based on whatever advice or something from the committee, but it should be the board. You're satisfied, you've got the money, and you're ready to go out to bid, okay? So you're going to change it in a way that is this board, but I was happy with it before. If you don't change it, the friends are going to have to decide, do they want to go forward, understanding that this is what the selectmen they need, or you want to find a middle ground between your edit and my prior draft, and that is the blue, massaged a little, although with the language I haven't edited yet, but certainly change the committee to the board. Okay? So there's your three choices. As is, the way it was before, the way the friends wanted, or something in the middle that I'll draft up between now and September 6th, once I have the instructions of what you want. Okay? So that's the decision point that we need to come to tonight so that I can do speaking with the friends between now and
This
6th.
this part is a decision point that we want to go to tonight.
Yeah, just give me instruction, a sense of the board. Do you want me to go back to the board, the friends and say, as is, or do you want me to change it a bit?
So Steve, I'm new to this, so probably the least experienced person in this.
And therefore probably the most common sense. So
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. But it seemed to me there was a lot of effort made on your part to make sure that the board was the sort of in control of the decision-making body. And this seems like it's sort of moves. I think this seems to me like the same sort of questions. Is that not right, or is that right?
Yes, at a minimum, if you're going to go with a red line, you should change it to the board to be consistent with every other change we made in the document. The committee is, if you appoint people to it, it says it's going to be here making its recommendations, but the buck stops with you, literally.
And that's why it's advisory. So they have no power, they can just make recommendations.
Right, but if we're signing an MOU, it needs to be crystal clear that at the end of the day, it's the board that has the last word on how much money you need to have in the bank for this job to go forward.
I just feel it's in keeping with what we have established as this is the precedent, this is what we were charged to from town meeting, and this is the process. We, the town, has to have the jurisdictional oversight. So my suggestion would be to, as you have suggested, go with adopting the corrections that you've, to keep the control as we have originally intended.
Right, and we can do that in one of two ways. Either don't make any change to this row in the MOU at all, or put in, or then makes it clear that this board is going to look carefully at the number that needs to be in the bank when the time comes. In other words, a red line version of this that changes the committee to the Board of Selectmen in this language that I can recommend to you. I'm not recommending this language. I'm saying I can massage it between now and the next meeting. If you want to put in the board into this row, I can do that with language that I'm content with. Or you can just leave it the way it is and say to the friends, it is what it is. We're going to work with you throughout this process. But when it comes down to the money we need in the bank, it needs to be the construction funds consistent with the engineer's estimate.
Right, so, I think we should just ask them what their intent was with this language, because perhaps what they're trying to get at is when we get the final design, at that point, we're gonna have a much better number for the construction costs. So are they, I don't know, so are they thinking that the design engineer's estimated cost is what is currently on the cost estimates?
No, it's not, because we didn't put any other numbers in the MOU. We deliberately described what the number is going to be. The number here is going to be the engineer's estimate of the construction cost. That number is based on the design plans, what they think it's going to cost to actually build this thing, and it will have a contingency built in it. It's really not much of a negotiable number.
No, I'm not saying it's negotiable, I'm just wondering if they think it's on that appendix, because when we went through this map, when we went through it with them, they were saying, we had the first phase and we all agreed what that was, and then we said, once we get the actual design specs, when Beals and Thomas puts together the design specs, it's at that point where we have a lot more comfort in the estimate that's below in phase 2. So I just don't know if they're thinking we're saying it's the cost estimate that currently exists. I don't know
I don't, certainly Marco doesn't think that he's a lawyer, he's sophisticated, very sophisticated, and I think that he understands what we're doing here, but obviously they have a big group of potential donors and they need to reach out to people, and from their side, what they're trying to do, I believe, is to raise enough money to do the job, but not to overraise, and therefore essentially not know what to do with, over donations later on when the time comes. And I respect that. This is not intending to overraise anything. This is, if you said to the town team, build this job, do what you always do to have a public construction job, public works construction job, come up with this estimate and put it at the bid. What you're going to get is exactly what's described here by the engineer's estimate. That's what you're going to get.
My feeling, Steve, is to keep it the way it is, and if that doesn't hamstring the Friends group in any way by prohibiting or by limiting their ability to raise money or to solicit funds, then my instincts would be just to leave it the way it is.
So that's a very good point, because this is an MOU, it's a memorandum of understanding, and it turns out they're starting to raise their money and they're getting all sorts of questions and they have some concerns. We can, of course, iron things out as we go through this. It's going to take some time to get to the bidding phase. We're going to go through the whole design phase to get there, and there'll be a lot of opportunity to discuss with the friends any concerns they have. But I'd like the understanding to be what they need to raise is what the engineer's estimate is for the bid documents that go out to the contractors.
Well, I don't think they don't understand that. Maybe I'm naive. I mean, all along, they've understood that. Their issue, or what they're trying to get at here is just to your point, what you said, is what happens to the funds if the project comes in under bid, and people have made donations, and there are a lot of financial tools that will not put the town at risk at all that we could use to mitigate that risk. For instance, they could raise all the funds and we could all agree that 20% of the contingency gets deposited in a bank and the bank supplies the town with a letter of credit that has an evergreen clause that gets drawn down upon if we need it. So, you know what, all I'm trying to do is, it's been a very cooperative process.
Yeah.
So let's try and understand what they're getting at. And, I understand now that this language doesn't work, Marco's language, so, maybe you could just talk to him and say exactly what you're trying to get at here, and, it's just a lot cleaner to leave it with the bid and with the actual estimate, and if you find that the friends are stretched by that and there are issues with potential over gifts, that the Board of Selectmen would be happy to work with you as a group to find a mechanism that we can use that doesn't put the town at risk for those funds if we need them.
Understood. And I'm not going to work very well today.
Right.
I will be in touch with him after tonight to talk about this. I didn't know he was coming tonight.
Right. So full disclosure, this is all my fault. I dropped the ball. He did send me this markup, and I just assumed he had copied you on it, and I had a week from hell last week when he sent it. And then there were a bunch of emails that went back and forth, and most of the friends are on vacation this week. But we still need to read it, so.
Understood. So anyway, I'm sure we're going to be able to get through this issue. I'll be working with Marco on it, and we'll hopefully have the proposed final version of the MOU ready for signatures at your September 6th.
After Labor Day, everything happens after Labor Day.
But does that seem to, I guess, just to go back to your point that you asked for tonight, does that give you, I think we're saying the same thing. Does that?
Right, I think what I'm understanding you to say is the town needs to do it right. The town is also cooperatively working with the friends. We'll keep the language the way it is now. I'll talk it through with Marco. If there is a concern that is legitimate, doesn't undercut what the town needs to do statutorily, etc., as part of the public bidding process. When there's language that incorporates the Board of Selectmen into the decision-making process, obviously it's something that I can talk to Marco about as we're having all these issues. But I don't want to, in terms of overly cooperating, doing something that shoots everybody in the foot because it creates a problem later in the course of the job. Okay? So then the last document was the redlined version of the lease accumulated. And the mission from the town meeting was essentially negotiate the proposed final version of the lease that is acceptable to the selectmen. We've tried to do that, so I've given you the red line that shows you every change made along the way. You'll see some of the word typos, some of them were substantive changes in favor of the town. For example, they required that, at the T's we have to look at them, take everything out and restore it the way it was before you ever build a rail trail. That's been changed so much in your favor, okay? Other changes like that, you'll see there were changes in the town. Changing up the optional lease areas and so on. You don't know when you see them when you go through here. There were other changes that were done at the request of the team, and I tried to do it in a way that didn't bite the town in any way. So to the extent she wanted to have something that ensures over the indemnity that you're providing in the lease, I made sure it's only insuring over any non-environmental indemnity that you may have provided in the lease, because the insurance company and I won't insure over an environmental indemnity. And then I went to Maya, to Dave and his team, to make sure that the language was acceptable to them, okay? So when you see that rather odd phrasing in the insurance provision, you scratch your head and say, what on earth is he doing? I'm trying to satisfy the T, the town meeting, the Board of Selectmen, and mine.
So that's how a 6-page document became a 39-page document.
So that's the head of a pin on which I've been dancing for a while, okay? But I think you'll know it when you see it, when you see those red lines, and I hope that it's helpful for you to understand where we were when town meeting said, yes, go ahead, subject to your being satisfied, and where we are now. And I hope you will agree on balance, improvements have been made, and it is in a form that, while not perfect, is one that is consistent with town meeting's desire for this project to go forward. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's my presentation, and if you have questions.
Thank you. But before we entertain questions, I also just want to say we've discussed a number of these things tonight, and that we should also give a recognition and thanks to the group, the Friends group, who've put a lot of time in this, even as you said, and as Robin mentioned, and we discussed it meetings in the past. Kevin Mann and Marco Zelani, they have put a lot of time into this, and Robin and I, this has been a 2-year process that has gone on for a long time with a lot of iterations, and a lot of people deserve credit for getting it to this point. So thank you for the time, effort, and energy.
Well, I really appreciate that, and over and above that, I really appreciate all the support that Robin and Dave and others in town have given us through the course of this process. And your design engineer has been working cooperatively with us as well. So there is a whole team, public and private, that's trying to get this thing moving, and we're getting close to the point where that can happen.
See, who's the outside counsel, the T's outside counsel that you're working with? I know Marie is inside, and
It's in-house counsel, and it's Teresa Patton, P-H-T-E-N, and as I say, since she's been working on this, it's made light years of progress. She's been terrific to work on it. She's defending her client's interests by being reasonable and responsive. I mean, she was working on her vacation last week with me in a conference call trying to get through this. I mean, she's been terrific, and I hope it's really her supervisors understand the effort that she's putting in on behalf of the team to do projects like this.
Is it okay for us to put this on the website?
It's a public document as of
As
tonight. It's a public document.
Because I think there are people in town that may want
Yeah,
to see
and
where we potentially.
you'll certainly be reviewing it yourself that way. I hope approving it at the September meeting so we can go forward. The only real decision point or instruction I need from you beyond the Friends instruction you already given me is on the escrow. Do you want me to draft up an escrow agreement, try to work it through with the team between now and on the 6th to see if we can do the sort of functional equivalent, or do you want to be literal in terms of we don't sign until...
I think the escrow gives us options that we should take advantage of.
Okay.
I do have,
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I agree.
yeah,
Okay, so I will bring that. Does town have all the copies you need? I have one for you if you need one. Okay. Great, I have another one if you need it.
They're saving trees.
If that's all you need me for tonight, I'm gonna take 2 minutes to pack this up and give him back his next.
we will say thank you once again, and welcome back. It's great to see you. Thank you for all this, and
I
thank
hope
you.
you had a wonderful vacation.
Thank you.
Chapters 1 and chapters 2.
We'll tell you all about my vacation when you're not at a public meeting. I want to do that vacation. September 6th is your next meeting.
Yes,
Do you want me here in case any curveballs come up?
yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. If we'll discuss if there's,
We can talk.
we can talk, and would you put that in your calendar that you can discuss?
Yeah, I'm double checking, make sure I'm available. If it's a problem, I'll move it. And if it's immovable, I'll move it anyway. And if I can't, I'll let Dave know. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Stephen, thank you very much. Discuss our next item of business, and if it's, should we pause for a minute or can we move on? Do you think? I think we can move on. For those of you at home, and pardon the interruptions, discussing the next item for discussion is the capital needs assessment procurement process.
And Mr. Chairman, right back at you, if you could perhaps explain to us what exactly is contemplated to be done with this process and by whom, and if there's a charge for the committee, then I can take it back and come back to you with a substantive answer to how that process would work.
The process that we're referring to is in regard to the Carroll project. So the first step in the Carroll project in the scope of things that we're discussing is a needs assessment. So step one within the process, within the scope of the process, is this capital needs assessment. And so that is the genesis of the procurement process. Would you like to add anything to that, just for clarification or for
That's how it came up.
discussion?
Yeah, came up out of Carroll.
Well, what I would need is are we going to have a committee that will be overseeing this capital needs assessment?
Yes.
Because what I need is some clarification as to what exactly this embodies beyond what has already been done.
So, in addition to the scope of the project for Carroll, you would like do we have to itemize how much money we anticipate spending on this? Or just for what it's for?
The details as to what would be in the scope of work and an estimated cost would also be helpful. But also, if there's going to be a committee involved, if I could see a charge, that would be helpful too.
So, in past committees, typically, the committee is assembled, the committee is charged by us. The committee creates the charter, the draft. We have put together for this committee a charge for the committee. It's posted. The posting came this week or last week. Will be up on the website. We're asking town residents, people who are interested in this project, some we have already heard from, who are interested in being part of this committee. So the charge exists, the committee members have not been voted on.
Mm-hmm.
Once they're voted on, that is when the process should begin for the procurement.
Typically, I would meet Mrs. Pugach would meet, but of course Mrs. Pugach won't be here to meet, so I would be meeting with that committee to find out how they want to proceed and what their scope is, and go from there.
Okay, so steps. Committee, first step.
Charge first.
Charges.
Somebody needs to share that with me directly.
Okay.
Okay, so I need that.
Charge. One.
In the charge, I mean, it starts with capital, that's based on a capital needs assessment. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, that describes what the committee would be doing. So it's sort of the fundamental piece.
Yeah, within the genesis of the project is the needs assessment. So, the charge, describing the needs assessment, committee, then the procurement of the actual assessment RFP.
Correct.
Greer? Yes.
That's right.
Okay. Got it. Time-wise, typically, what's the, from a, we have a charge, we announce the committee, typically how long does it take?
Go through the procurement process. Depends on which law we have to follow.
We need to find out if this is involving design,
Like design of the
designer
building.
selection. You know, we don't know if it's a 30B, which is just services. So we can't tell you.
And we don't know the cost.
That's right.
Well, the costs are at maximum 30,000, and I think it's just services. We can call the schools and find out if they can help us.
If we, whatever we might know, capital needs assessment is extremely vague.
Okay. So, services, specific services. What else?
That's enough for now. That'll get us started.
Okay. And then once you have
What's
the scope,
estimated cost and what it's for, right? What it covers, right?
That's right.
Like
Yeah,
scope
whether there
and
are
cost.
designer services involved.
Okay. Okay. And so for any of you who are following along at home, this discussion is part of the Carroll Community Project, the Carroll Community Study Group, and the scope that we have taken on this summer, the charge that we've taken on this summer, the meetings, the numerous meetings that we've had. This has been one of the items that we have focused on, having the committee, the scope of the committee, the composition of the committee, what the committee will be charged with, and the timing of the committee. So this is, in fact, part of the genesis of this committee and what this board has determined to be one of the most critical steps in the process as it relates to specifically the amendment of Article 15. And I think I've just covered all of the past 90 days in 3 minutes. Hopefully. I'm sure there'll be people at home that have questions about that, and if you do, please feel free to call Dave. I'll just bring it.
Or look at the minutes.
I'll look at the minutes. Thank you.
Have you voted on the charge yet as a board?
Yes,
Oh,
And it's posted with the minutes.
yes.
oh, good.
So we just have to,
I just need to get
just need it, you need it.
Okay.
Okay. So, do we have any questions, concerns? Is that, you good with that?
We understand what we need to do.
What we need to do.
Again, we have homework.
In the request to go on our website, not included.
I wouldn't have gotten it, no.
So, next item, to execute the lease agreement for Erin School of Dance to be inside Carroll.
Mr. Chairman, this is the annual license agreement for Aaron School of Dance. Same terms and conditions as previous years and same rent. The last couple of years, her enrollment has not been as robust as she would like, and so she has requested that the rent amount be the same.
Maintain the same. Any questions?
I'm assuming that the owner, Miss Aaron, I guess, knows what's going on at Carroll and the study that's being undertaken and happened at town meeting, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't know to what extent she knows what is going on, but this is an annual license agreement, Mr. Springett. It expires next June, so it shouldn't affect the term of this license.
And all the license holders, all our renters in Carroll are year to year on an annual basis.
And they're license agreements as opposed to rental agreements, so they can be terminated
at any
at
time.
any time.
And that's similar with other license agreements for buildings outside of Carroll.
We only have license agreements in
Springdale,
Carroll.
I mean, for Whiting.
Oh, Whiting Road as well, yes, same idea, it's a license agreement.
Robin, any questions?
And I'm just confirming, there's no background, the timely payment.
No, she is current.
She's
Okay.
wonderful. She used to be part of the town,
Right,
part of the rec program.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the extension of the lease.
License,
License.
License.
critical distinction.
Second? Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
It's interesting, I mean, Miss Rosemary closed down too, a year or two back. We had the...
Oh, over at the Legion?
Over at the Legion, yeah. So I don't know what's going on with dance and school age young ladies and stuff.
To execute the 2018 state primary election warrant. And Greer, is this yours or is this Mr.
Mr. Ramsey?
Mr. Ramsey?
The primary is the 4th of September, and so the selectmen need to,
The day after Labor
The
Day.
day
after Labor Day, the selectmen need to execute the warrant.
Any discussion? Would entertain a motion to approve the warrant.
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to remind everyone that absentee ballots are available if you are unable to get to our primary. So, some very, very good people who have represented Dover extremely well are up for re-election, so we hope you vote.
And it's coming soon.
It's coming, yes.
Right.
Yes. Quick.
Warrant article closeouts.
Mr. Chairman, this is a housekeeping item that we do at the end of every year as part of the accountant's closing of the books. So you see under the Selectmen's capital projects, outstanding balances in various articles. And I would recommend that the fourth item down, the preliminary design for the Carroll at $58,714 be closed out. That the study committee for the 46 Springdale property balance be closed out. That the energy audit lighting upgrade amount be returned, closed out as well. And that's because we received grants timely for all of that retro work. That the Carroll Community Center paving of the parking lot balance of $800 be closed out. And that the balance in the Whiting Road painting of the exterior be closed out. All those projects are done.
Architectural, so 58,000,
22,000.
22,845. The energy audit upgrade, the Carroll Community Center, parking lot paving, and Whiting Road.
Those projects are done.
That sounds fine to me. Any discussion?
So it's about $180,000, I guess.
Approximately 180, 177,000. Do we get to keep the money?
No.
It goes back into,
Doesn't
Free
go
cash.
into. It doesn't go into the
Goes in a vault.
retirement fund.
I don't think it does. Maybe.
No, I don't think so. I'm only
do
kidding.
you need a motion?
We
Yes.
believe we need a
Okay.
motion.
All right, so I make a motion that we approve the return of funds as specified by the town administrator in the selectmen's budget.
Seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very much.
Easy to take.
It is very easy to take unused money back. Thank you,
That is the
Mr. Ramsey. Yes. To approve chief grant request for 9/11 training and certification of the E911 Dispatch Center, cost and support.
And Mr. Chairman, this has become a recurring item. This is the 8th consecutive year of that grant money, which the chief uses to defray the costs of running the communication center.
Where does the grant money come from?
The Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I believe it's raised through the 911 program at the state level and then it's distributed back to the towns.
Any discussion? I'm going
No.
to accept a motion to approve the grant application.
So moved.
Seconded?
Second, this is not to approve the grant
No, this is
application, it's
accept-
to accept the
To
funds.
accept the funds. To accept the funds that Chief McGowan received through the state 9/11 grant
For the
application.
amount of
For the amount
$30,244.
of
$30,244.
$244.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's not that hard.
We like receiving money. Thank you, Chief McGowan. Appointments. Greer, is this yours?
That's actually mine, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I know you're not accustomed to seeing me do much at these meetings. Get used to it, Mr. Chairman, get used to it. So at our last meeting, as you may recall, I got a phone call. It was from my son, so I had to excuse myself.
Yes.
When I came back, and so I was interrupted in my list of appointments to recommend. So we overlooked 2 of them last time. So I'd like to pick up there. Gerard Lane is more than willing to re-up as a treasurer collector for a term of 1 year. And John Gilbert is willing to re-up for the tree warden appointment, which is a 3-year term.
Accept a motion to approve both appointments and thank them very, very much for their willingness to serve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I actually have some as well.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Springer.
So let me just make sure I have the PowerPoint. I have my notes. Too much paper, guys.
Yes. And remember, you are required to keep every piece of paper for at least 7 years.
Yeah, right now I'm in a muddle of the paper.
Oh, we can do them September 6th.
Yeah, that's all right, I just gotta find the right pile of paper. So, Board of Appeals. Laverne Level for 3 years.
I'll make a motion to accept.
And then there's 2 others.
Oh, okay.
And then Hamilton, Hackney, and Michael Donovan, 1 year each.
Laverne, Ham Hackney, and
Michael Donovan.
Michael Donovan.
So why don't you make the motion since you have all the names?
I move that we accept Laverne, Ham, and Michael Donovan for terms
Of 3 years
of
for the
3
Board
years
Board of
for the
Appeals?
Board of Appeals.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
And then COA. Gilbert Fees. Geraldine Wise, Ruth Townsend, and Elizabeth Hagan.
Geraldine Fees, Ruth Townsend, and Elizabeth Hagan.
Yep.
Move in for terms of?
Let's see. So, where is it? Gilbert, 3 years. Geraldine. 1 year. Ruth. This will make it a lot easier if I put my reading.
Why don't we give Ruth a
Ruth,
three-year
1 year.
term?
Ruth, 1 year.
She won't mind.
And
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, 3 years.
Move that we accept Gilbert, Elizabeth, Geraldine, and Ruth for the terms on Council on Aging.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Barbara, do you have anybody on capital budget, or is that later on?
We
It's
did.
later on.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I had to get the moderator's approval. Do I not?
No, capital budget is, it's always been odd how capital budget gets done. And usually, if I remember, is the committee itself.
Right, so did we need the committee to approve
We
the
do need the
person?
committee, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so,
Is that the way we do it for the,
Yes, and
Okay.
it would be good if they met sooner rather than later because it's not clear who their chair is. And I need to run a
There isn't
draft
one.
of the, right, I need to run a draft of the capital budget kickoff memorandum
right, so,
from the Board of Selectmen by the chair, just to make sure that the dates that we plug in
right, so why
align
don't we
with
try
I
to
think
get
we
a capital
have,
budget meeting?
Is there any sense of who the chair is going to be?
a capital budget.
That's always been up to the capital budget committee. The person now who is the longest tenured person is Barry.
Okay.
Okay, and I've spoken to Barry, just to think about whether or not he would be willing to step up.
Typically, yeah, the memo, as you know, goes out at the end of August.
And I remember,
Mhm.
So
So,
maybe we better see if capital budgets can meet. Send out a,
I mean, I'd be happy to just, it's a standard memorandum from the board, and I know what date typically in our fiscal year calendar, capital budgets are due by, so you could do it either way. I mean, I could just-
without, okay.
I could send it out to all of the board members.
of the board, of the capital budget.
It's not clear to me either. Am I automatically the member again?
You have to be appointed by
By
the
this
Board of
board.
Selectmen
So-
because you are a voting member.
Right, so that's the one
That's a
appointment we
great
can
idea.
make.
So one of them, two, and we have this and another,
That would be
so
important.
we could appoint Robert.
Bob, you don't want to do it?
No, for a
No,
term,
I think they're.
for a term of 17 years.
Okay,
That's.
right. I will
I think it's a one-year
graciously
term.
accept.
I know that John has a problem with math.
Yeah,
It's-
I have a problem with that. For a term of 1 year.
Right, so then I can look it
You
over.
had an opportunity.
Okay.
I know that.
You had an
Okay.
opportunity.
Okay.
He would let us.
Right, hey guys, do you
Yes.
want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Bob's making a motion.
To
Hey, boys.
appoint Robert Hunter for a one-year term on the
Aye.
capital budget committee.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye.
All right,
Thank you, Mrs. Hunter.
my
Uh,
pleasure.
Greer, I'm reading.
So did you send that to the?
Yeah,
the whole
that's-
one?
Yes,
That's what we're gonna do.
Candace's appointment for
yes.
the.
Dr. Kruskel has requested that Candace McCann be appointed to a 3-year position on the Historical Commission. She has agreed.
Mhm.
The board will appoint her to that to serve on the commission.
I would like to make the motion that we accept Candace McCann's appointment to the Dover Historical Commission for a term of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
So
you
she
very
served
much
as the
for your-
liaison, so that's a
Right.
great.
A nice
fits.
segue.
Right, right.
Excellent.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you, Candace. And thank you for all of the nominees that we've approved this evening, for all of you watching at home. This is the way the town operates. We couldn't do it without you. It is a town-wide effort, and it's something that we greatly appreciate. These are all volunteer positions. They're important positions, and your time and effort is incredibly valuable, and we thank you for it. I know it doesn't get said enough, but thank you very much for the time. So, approval of the July 12th open session meeting minutes. We don't have to approve.
We're not going to do that tonight,
We're not
Mr.
gonna do that
Chairman.
tonight. Yeah, thank you. Citizens'
Oh,
comments.
Mr. Chairman?
Other business.
Special
Yeah.
license.
Special licenses. I
How could you
Apologize.
forget?
How could I pop so soon I forget? Oh, weekend update,
Takes a lot of
live. Live from
Team
New
effort.
York.
This is yours this time.
Weekend update. Mine.
Yeah, it's yours.
Why?
Yeah, absolutely, because you stuck me with it the last time.
Oh, but I like it. So I really don't
That's why
mind.
you're giving it to you.
So, for one-day special liquor licenses, effective retroactive, the following 7, 8, 9 are retroactive. August 2nd, the Boston College Theology Department at the Connors Center. August 3rd, retroactive, Boston College Theology, the Connors Center, dinner and conference. August 4th, BC Theology Department. August 6th, 7th, also Boston College at the Theology Department at the Connors Center. August 9th, retroactive, corporate barbecue at Elm Bank. August 11th, retroactive, the Boyd Panzoni wedding. Didn't get invited to that one either.
Yeah.
At the Connors Center, retroactive. Boston College office, President's Office retreat and dinner. And August 13th, Boston College retreat and dinner, both at the Connors Center, retroactive.
Maybe we should go to Boston College.
I did go to Boston College. And my kids, for those of you listening, are also graduates of Boston College.
Remember,
Still don't
we're
get
trying
invited.
to stay on.
I know,
track.
we're trying, tell him. August 18th, White Bircher wedding at the Connors Center. August 21st, Medfield Public School meeting and reception at the Connors Center. August 30th, Boston College School of Nursing dinner, Connors Center. September 1st, the Suo wedding, Connors Center.
Shoot.
Shoot?
Z.
How did you know that?
Because
Okay, Zoo wedding at the Connors Center. The wedding and reception at Elm Bank, a wedding and reception at Elm Bank on September 2nd and September 1st. The pop-up beer garden. This was a special request by Mrs. Hunter to come back on September 7th and 8th at Powissa Farm. I did attend with my kids,
I
neighbors
didn't.
and friends. It was amazing. Please attend. And September 8th, the Curran Lemon wedding at the Connors Center. September 8th, a wedding reception at Elm Bank. September 9th, again, the pop-up beer garden at Powissa. September 15th, wedding, Mass Horticultural Society, assuming that's, obviously, is that at Elm Bank as well? Yeah. September 17th, private event for Needham Bank at Hale Reservation. Boston College Law School, public interest dinner on September 22nd at the Connors Center. September 23rd, Del Rio Fogarsi. How did I do that? Fun. Well, let's go with it. Wedding, the Connors Center. September 29th, 4th Annual Springdale Field Festival, Springdale Field. Yes, Maureen, I got you a yes.
And sunshine is requested.
Sunshine is requested by all.
So I'll make a motion to accept all 24,
Wow.
Seconded?
25,
I can finish the motion.
yeah,
Sorry.
all 25 one-day special liquor licenses.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very popular time of year.
September
25 options and we didn't get invited to a single.
September 8th is really popular.
Yes.
There's
That's
three
big.
things going
First
on
weekend
there.
after the-
Right.
Yeah?
If there are no,
I have one other thing. Just, there were a July meeting that we had minutes for that we did not approve the minutes. I think it was the 18th. One of the planning meetings. And so the question I have is, should we approve those minutes?
do we need them with us to approve tonight?
I would like to have them because I thought we approved them.
Well, I think we postponed that.
Okay, I'll have to go.
All right, so I'll have to do it for
Okay.
next time.
Okay.
We didn't vote on them because we were not going to, yeah.
I think we postponed.
I think we-
There were several highlighted items that we needed to change, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we
Can we have them for the September 4th meeting? Sorry, September 6th meeting, September 4th.
Do you have them, Mona?
I don't recall. I'll have to see if I have them.
Right.
Because we usually send them.
Can you send them to
Yeah.
Mona, just to?
Send them to
Does it mean that?
Okay.
July
I think it was the 18th.
18th,
We'll,
Yeah, I'll check. Yeah, you're right.
meeting minutes.
Because one
Because
of
I
the
think
items
clock
was to touch base with Greer, who wasn't here, and Dave answered the question for me, so I undid the highlights. So I think it was as amended. I'll go back and
Okay,
double
I'm gonna
check. Because
I-
it was about
Please, yeah, let us know.
procurement
Mhm.
limits.
Mhm.
Right,
Just
right. And you had taken the Friday off, and Dave said he was qualified to answer the question
Oh,
for me.
I guess I was the most qualified person in the building. I think I was alone that day.
He's only the chief procurement officer, right?
He said, well, I think I might be able to answer this for you, Robin, but
Well, we have no citizens' comments, but we have to make an announcement, which is not easy for me to make, but I'm gonna make it with a big smile on my face and say that we are in the process of losing our assistant town administrator, who has been with us for
14 years.
Yes.
and done a remarkable job. And we will miss you terribly, more than you can possibly imagine, and wish you nothing but success and the best of everything in everything that you do. And we're happy and proud, and I couldn't have, you have been absolutely indispensable to this business, to what we do here every single day. So
Thank you, thank you,
Second.
thank you,
Here, here.
thank you.
Thank you
Mrs.
so much,
Bugach.
Mary, and be sure to send us Christmas cards with those little kitties on them.
Oh, I
please.
certainly will. I
And
do
invitations
that.
to things that we,
Yeah.
license things that we don't get invitations to.
Right.
And can you leave your contact information? I'm sure we'll have questions.
Sure.
Mona has you on
Oh, yeah.
speed dial.
Yeah.
Dials, right.
I just live right up the road, so.
would you like to add anything, sir?
You said it all, Mr. Chairman. I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. Most of what we've accomplished here in the last 15 years would not have been possible without you.
Well, thank you for creating the position and one of the previous boards, and thank you for mentoring me, Mr. Ramsey, because I would not be where I am today with all of your hours and hours and hours of advice and information sharing and mentoring. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Totally agree. Thank you both. It's made my job, and sure Robin, I won't speak for you, I'm sure you can.
Okay, don't speak for me, John.
Without getting an elbow in the ribs. There's no other further business. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you for your attendance, and thank you all at home for watching. Have a great night, and we look forward to seeing everybody in September.
September 6th,
September 6th.
2 days before
Thank
the 8th.
You want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
To adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. No gavel.
5, right on time.